Hello, legends. Look at this. Yes, you saw it here first, folks. Well, actually, you probably didn't, but this is the one and only Jeffrey Epstein. Has been spotted in Tel Aviv with some serious security around him. In fact, he's got quite a lot of security because he's got a couple more bodyguards here. And if that isn't enough to spark your appetite for a phenomenal chat, he's also been hopping back onto his island and chatting with his groundsman. I just can't wait to get into this. Hello legends, how we doing? I hope this finds you utterly phenomenal on this, our trip in paradise. And I know life isn't always paradise for everybody. That's something you've got to figure out, friends. And if you're not feeling it at the moment, if you've got struggles, if you've got stuff on your plate, if you've got stuff that's eating away at you, it's really like this. The divine, the God, the Nate Mother Universe, Nate, whatever your chosen thingamy is looking down at you, and it's seeing that you're just heading off the path slightly, and as a result, it's putting you in pain. And so, what life does is it presents us with these challenges, and it does so we can get better at life, and that we can learn that so long as you identify in the material realm with people, objects, things, situations like this absolute nonsense that we're going to look at, you're going to be subjective. You're like a cork on the waves. You never know when you're going to get battered next. So just remember, you don't need to identify with any of that. You're a massive legend. You're loved way more than you ever probably stop to remember. Not just by me and all these beautiful people watching, but by hundreds, if not thousands of people that if they heard that you were no longer with us, you'd be so surprised. There'd be people coming out the woodwork to say, this person was so lovely. They did this for me then, or I went to school with them then. I always remember that. Do you see what I'm saying? So what we're going to do, we're going to leave all the past behind, because that's nonsense. Just heal it and leave it and move on, because this life is too good to squander on silly identity politics. And I did this when I was like 6, and they did that to me, and then he did that. Gotta let that go. We're going to be grateful, because isn't this an amazing life? Just get out into nature once in a while and just stop and look. And remember, when you take this ridiculous human element out, and humans are not always ridiculous. I bet you've got lovely friends, the same as I have. All 2 of them. But when you get out in the nature and you're in the quiet, and you're in the peace and the beauty, the stunningness, then you realize we're really lucky to have this experience, aren't we? And it's up for us to work out the ways to distance all the crap And that is why we take action. And you can start taking action today. One, by liking and subscribing to my show. See what I did there? Good little segue there. But no, you can take action in many ways. And that's what I'm here for, because I've been the lowest of the low. I've been chronically mentally unwell and homeless, and that guy that you cross the street to avoid. And I figured out a way back on my own. No self-help groups, no medical community who wanted to put me in a facility. And when I say I wake up every day in paradise, you better believe it. And on that note, folks, just a quick shout out. My further trip through paradise continues, starting in a month's time, or just over a month's time, when I shall be starting my summit of Mount Everest. And I'm doing this to shine a light for all those people out there that are struggling with their mental health, to say, hey, look at me. You know, this can be done. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. Everything you're feeling now, it's just temporary. It will pass. That's the cyclical nature of life. I also want to be shouting from the summit of the world, the rooftop of the world, that why are we in the veterans community not talking about childhood trauma when we're losing so many buddies to suicide? What is that about? We're supposed to be a team, a brotherhood, a fraternity with sisters in the other forces. And we're not looking after each other, folks. Every time one of our beautiful friends dies, takes himself out of the game, we just sort of don't say anything about it and carry on as though this is normal. And if we don't understand our past, and then we don't know what we need to heal. So if you can help me put this message out there, folks, I've said this now how many hundreds of times? This YouTube channel gets millions of views. So millions of people now know that when you hear things like complex PTSD in veterans, it's only one factor of that is what happens on the battlefield. If indeed the veteran even served on the front line. The complex part of it is it's a build-up over a lifetime that generally, or quite often, starts with a rocky foundation. That's childhood, right? So if you can help me, folks, chip in a $5 to help me with my expenses, I will absolutely love you to bits. This, as I'm finding out, I never knew it was going to cost this much money. It's ridiculous, and I'm having to borrow that I can't raise. So if you can chip in a $5, the GoFundMe link is in the comment section, or a PayPal link down there, or in the description box. Let me know when you've done it, so I can give you a shout out and say thank you. Right, dun dun dun, dun dun dun. Right. What am I doing? I didn't get the chat out, so I'm just going to chat away while I do that. Pop out chat. Let's get that. Yeah, so this Jeffrey Epstein stuff, what do we reckon already? I think you probably worked it out for yourselves, haven't you? Absolute. It's nonsense, isn't it? The whole... there we go. So I just wanted to say thank you to Gritch. You absolute legend. And as you can see with the shield next to your name, Gritch, thank you for being a channel member. I couldn't do this if it wasn't for the generosity of people like you. Folks, it's £1.99 a month if you can support the channel. I know I say this every time. It's because I'm a one-man band. I haven't got editors. I haven't got a team behind me. I don't have a pension from the military. I don't have a job. This is just takes my full time. This and my charity work. So if you can become, support the channel on any of these platforms, £1.99 a month. That'll be awesome. So Yes, let's go back to the slide, shall we? Dun dun dun. So, in this picture here, you got a guy dressed up fairly normally, and then immediately in this one, you got a guy that's clearly being made out to be a homeless person. Immediately, this doesn't make sense. I think a lot of people just jump on this and believe it's true. I'd almost say this clearly looks like AI. Despite the fact, and this is the one from his island. I know it's a small. It's not such a brilliant picture. So there he is, just chatting away, with a large black chap sitting on a quad bike. I'll be honest, knowing sort of Jeffrey's profile, can we say, I don't think he liked black people, folks, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think he was very nice, if you get me. So we have some discrepancies, don't we? Once he's been spotted twice in Tel Aviv. Once he's been spotted on his island, so all quite unlikely. It could be that the first time in Tel Aviv he was spotted, people saw it in the media and went, whoa, let's AI some shit and put it out there and we'll just clickbait and get loads of hits. So what can we logic here? He was a guy that knew an awful lot about a lot of people, their deepest, most intimate, perverted fantasies. I don't know how it goes. I don't know how his partner, Ghislaine, was left to live or is still alive. And what kind of deal's been done with her to silence her. And I don't know. I do know. We know he knows a lot of stuff on a lot of people. The fact that if he came out and tried to cut some kind of deal, could be reason enough for the cabal not to want him around anymore. So what I'm trying to say is, folks, I wouldn't put too much into this. On the other hand, we don't know. He clearly was, doing his job there for the Mossad. It was a funny situation because, people, they make quite a lot out of the honeypot thing. So honeypot, if you don't know, I'm sure you do, it's when you entrap people sexually and then you blackmail them afterwards. That's probably most of your politicians in reality. There's something on them that meant they got put forward for power. We often have a little joke about Tony the toilet cleaner on this channel. We say that for a reason. And then we got old Keir Starmer. It sounds like a stormtrooper, that name. Keir Starmer, who keeps getting his car burnt to the ground by Ukrainian rent boys. Not hard to see who they put forward. There was that Haut de la Garonne, was it called? The children's school on Jersey. It was like some sort of orphanage, was it not? And allegedly the reason why MI6, the forces that be, let celebrities go there for years to abuse the small people was that they had cameras in every room. This is nothing new. Now, in addition to the honeypot though thing, you got to remember that these are the people that whether willingly, whether unwillingly, whether just conveniently, they're used for the New World Order. They are, they're the kind of cogs that make it work. So when you've got people like, I'm just chucking some names out of here. Well, Bill Gates is a good example. Bill Gates is cabal. You can track his family history through his mother's side, through the old surname game, and you'll find out that his lineage is exactly the candidate that you have to be to be in cabal. Am I stereotyping every person there that has that bloodline? Well, no, of course I'm not, because I'm not stupid. There's all kinds of different people on in every kind of bloodline, aren't there? There's some very kind, honest, loving people that are Christians, for example, and there's also some idiots. With respect to that bloodline, anyone you're familiar with, like Khazarian Mafia, this kind of thing, the trash can Nazis, you'll know what we're referring to here. What else are we saying? It's like this. Does it mean that everyone from that bloodline are evil, trying to take over the world? No. Does it mean those people that are evil, that are trying to create their new world order, come from that bloodline? Oh yes. That and their convenient puppets like the Bush family idiots who I wouldn't surprise me uncovering their in the history of their bloodline, if there's a surprise there for us. Bush family, made their money from opium smuggling, a bit like the Sassoons. Bush family want you to believe they're good old Texas oil boys, don't they? No, they made their money on drugs, folks, the decimation of communities. And they also had a slave labour factory in Oswiecim, which many of you know is the Polish word for the village of Auschwitz. And they lassoed their slave labour from that camp that was there. So not a lot of people know that. So you've got to remember that people like Bill Gates who are in the club, they're probably not there to be honeypotted. They're probably just there on holiday, putting it all about a bit. Interesting one, that. Anyway, what relevance does this have? Well, it's this incidentally, was, let me just get my screen back down to size. This allegedly is Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's ex. Confirms she knows Epstein is still alive. Thoughts on this? It's just a picture of somebody. I don't even know if it's her. I'm sure it is, but there's no sources. There's no nothing. This is the kind of crap that people wasting their time buying into. Buying into online at the moment at the expense of your future friends. I'm not saying you're buying into this, but this is all this AI shit. Hey, look, I've done a photo of me. I look like Al Capone. Yes, like, how old are you? Seriously? Oh geez, I left a comment on a Facebook video the other day, something I rarely do, but I just wonder what the backlash I would get. It was the US Olympic team all wearing the old face nappy because they're paranoid about catching a bogeyman, which will put them out their event. And I just left a comment saying, physically impossible to catch something off somebody else, friends. The conditions you're referring to are just your body detoxing from your carbohydrate diet. Carbohydrate being sugar, basically glucose, which is highly acidic in the body. My gosh. my notification thing hasn't hasn't stopped being read. It's got, I think I've got about 100 people left me comments saying how deluded I am and how sad it is to be English because, and that I didn't know you're a doctor. I didn't reply that doctors study for 5 years to be brainwashed and dish out poison. I've been studying this for probably 30 years now, but hey ho. Anyway, moving on. I'm just gonna talk as we walk, friends, but essentially the motto of Cabal is order out of chaos. So all this Epstein thing, it really doesn't matter. What is happening here is there's a megastrophic, made up word, change in what's going on in the global picture. The old world of, hey, Trump's going to bring down the globalist is yeah, that's his job. That's why they've got him in as their orange messiah. Orange 33 in numerology. Am I saying that's a definite thing? No, of course I'm not. Just an observation. But they brought him in because the old way of doing things has to change now. Now, in order for the AI data centers to further the digital agenda and the electronic entrapment, so the 15-minute cities, the social credit system, etc., is they need power for these centers, and they need the precious metals to make the equipment. This is why Greenland have had to do a deal with the Americans. Hey, we want your country. Okay, yeah, you can have it. It just doesn't make sense, does it? Hey, we want Venezuela. We want your president to just walk out his front door and fuck off. Excuse my foul, potty mouth. But nothing to do with what lies under the ground. And this is because of, this shift. So what did globalism do? Why is Trump taking down the globe? And this is not a freaking Q. Someone accused me of being Q the other day. We're an enlightenment channel, folks. We here to tell you this is all about energy, vibration, and frequency, and you taking charge of your biochemical mechanism, so none of this utter nonsense drags you off your spiritual path. I'm telling you now, no politician is ever going to do that for you, right? Which is why I've never ever voted. I've never, you're never going to hear me saying, hey, yeah, this Nigel chap, he's good, let's vote for reform. We're in a dark cycle and everything is an inversion. So you going to vote is not a positive thing because it's an inversion. So by definition, it has to be negative. It's the same with the diet, the planet world, especially the things that are emerging in diet now. It's everything you're eating is pretty much bad, pretty much bad for you. And where was I? So Trump has taken down the global system because the global system has served its purpose. What has globalism done? It's stolen all your jobs. It's stolen your manhood if you're a bloke, because you no longer follow your father into a traditional pattern, a traditional path of work, whether that be the factory, the farm, the steel mill, the coal mine, whatever it might be, a trade, etc., etc. AI is further stealing that even more. It's decimated your country with rampant illegal immigration and all the trade procedures and the financial monetary stuff that goes on to keep you enslaved through the central banking system. It's decimated your communities in terms of just dumping heaps of illegal immigrants right there in a, what was essentially cohesive communities that are now discohesive, uncohesive. Put it in the comments. And it's got everybody absolutely terrified of other people in terms of well-being. It's like, hey, I'm going to put this thing on my face because I don't understand how my body works, rather than understand that, no, everything that you experience in your body comes from two sources. Either the way you live your life, what you put in your body and your lack of exercise, or getting poisoned in the environment from the, all the kind of electromagnetic stuff that's out there, or the poisons in the ground. And you can see what they've done. They've globalized this victim system where no one now takes charge for their life. It's always other people's fault. Have you not noticed young people now, and this is not a slur on young people, my degree is in youth work, so I'm passionate about young people, but it has to be said, they've been so smashed, people now don't know how to say sorry. Have you noticed that? Like, you go into a service environment and they've screwed something up for you. Like, for example, my summit suit that's gone missing for Everest, £1,300 summit suit. I paid $850 for, but it's just gone missing. Have this company issued any form of apology to me as the client, as the person they're serving? No. It's everyone's in that damaged ego where to say sorry, they have been conditioned to feel is like even more a damage on their fractured psyche. So globalism's worked an absolute treat. Now it's like, screw globalism, because it's a battle for resources, and the cabal, in all their wisdom, they want these, they want this digital enslavement, because the more that AI comes in and takes over even more jobs, the more they can then kick people then onto social credit, whilst constantly strimming down the population through the old, that agenda that people are so thick as fucking dog shit that they'll just keep going back for more, won't they? And why would they not? I'm being rude, folks, but come on, you got to say it how it is sometime. How are you supposed to know the finer mechanisms of your biological environment and what you should and shouldn't put in it if the limit of your horizon is working a 9 to 5, coming home, cooking tea, and then watching Strictly Come Dancing? These are the individuals that are like, oh, I love the royal family. And you should know now, on your spiritual battle, you don't even go there. It's going to cause you, if you need people that get then worldly knowledge from television, from EastEnders. Is EastEnders even a thing anymore? I've got no idea, right? They're going to drag you down into their shitty world and cause you pain. You're just like that. Awesome. So, that's kind of like the take on it. And on that note, look at this. 1 million job losses now that we're having this driverless car revolution. Who remembers, who's my age, remember growing up that you had, who remembers Total Recall? Good evening, sir. Welcome to Johnny Cab. They're driverless taxis, didn't they, in Total Recall? And you just thought, oh, wow, this is Mars. This is supposed to be like way in the future. And of course, now it's a reality. There's driverless cars out there. I'm not sure which countries they're legal in and which they're not. But someone told me the other day, I was in my friend's car the other day. Yeah, this will blow you away. And she just like stopped driving. I'm like, what? She's like, oh, it's driving itself. I don't understand it. I don't have an electric car. This one was a very nice one. I don't understand the law. I would have thought that would be like illegal at this, but this is what they said. So yes, what's going to happen with all of this? More and more people will hop on the old government credit system. What's the name for that? Can someone put it in the chat? What's it called when the government just pay you money every month, no matter what? It's like social credit. But social credit works two ways, doesn't it? Social credit is what you're credited for your citizenship. So long as you go along with all the medical kind of narrative, you'll keep in good favor. Universal income. Thank you. That was GBL. That's so many nines. I think I'd be here for like an eternity if I was to try to even delude myself I could tackle them. GBL and lots of nines. Think we're going to have to work a little bit on your spelling there, brother. Joke. Easily done. So what's going to happen is you used to make your living driving a car or working in a factory or whatever, working in an office. Your role is now taken over by AI or some sort of automated system. It's like, don't worry, sir, you can go home and you can get universal basic income. And you can have £30,000 of just what you used to earn in the car. It doesn't have to be like being on the dole or anything, although, I don't think it will be a fortune. And then, of course, you're like, what? I don't have to work. I just like, yes, sir, just, all right. And then, of course, they've got you, haven't they? Because suddenly your budgeting and your spending and your borrowing is all based around that 30,000. And that time in the future where something comes out that you disagree with, I don't know. It could be another medical narrative thing. It could be that everybody's got to do something on a Tuesday that nobody wants to do. Whatever it is, go outside and bang your pots and pans or something cretinously stupid. And you don't do it. You don't go along with the 3 minutes of public outpouring of hate or grief or whatever it might be. When you go to get your vegetables next time down at the co-op, they're like, I'm sorry, sir. It's not accepting your, it won't even be a card then, will it? But you get what I'm saying. So this, I think, is what we're looking at. Right, moving on. Ignore all this nonsense, folks, right? So coffee, what is it? Coffee is a poisonous bean that grows in Central American and South American jungle, basically. Yes, it grows in other parts of the world. What I'm saying is when you see it in the nature, it's red. It's a red bean. So basically it's saying, don't eat me. And if you do eat me, you're gonna get the jitters. Your heart's gonna start fluctuating because I've poisoned you. Now, this is not a dig at coffee. I'm drinking dandelion coffee. It's not only herbal, but it's pH neutral, so it's alkaline. Well, pH neutral. Absolutely cannot tell the difference, friends, right? Just chucking that out there for those of you that like your health stuff, right? You me. Right, you can buy that. No. So yeah, it's a poison. It's a toxic, poisonous plant, and yes, it makes a nice drink. We all know that, but you should also know it comes at a cost. It's highly acidic, I would say, in your blood, in your bloodstream. The poison tends to be, not really good for you. So all this bollocks, just ignore it. They're gaslighting you, folks. They're making you think that there's an actual narrative here on which you can discuss whether coffee's good or bad for you. It's bad for you. Yes, it's lovely. We all, I haven't had coffee for over a year now, but I didn't, actually was managed to wean myself onto tea, which is a bit less, a bit less acidic. And then I was on decaf tea. Now I'm split between decaf and the rooibos, which is beautiful, and I'm going to make the move just onto rooibos, red bush. But anyway, this is they love dishing this stuff out, confusing people. Right, this one here, let's have a look.
No comment. You got no comment?
So this guy, David Chung, he's a paid actor that's paid to go and protest. And he's been at all of these different protests. So let me just play it. Oh.
What? How are they paying you $80K a year?
No comment.
Are you going to say no comment to everything?
Yep.
Yep. Bro, they're paying you $80K.
And it's just more confirmation that nothing is ever what it seems. And the beauty of that, folks, is what's it telling you? If all of this is nonsense, it's order out of chaos, then you can start today, if you haven't already, on your spiritual battle. And I'm sorry, I'm not one of them channels that's like, oh, share all these videos and let's all do prepping and let's, because I'd be a liar. I'd get millions of subscribers. The same if I'd continued, talking about my military experience, which you probably notice I no longer do, which I can't do from a moral perspective. I mean, I don't mind to say the odd thing about it or to chat with the odd gal. We got a sniper, Afghanistan sniper, who I chatted to the other day. That's on the. I'll put the podcast up soon. I don't, we're a podcast. We chat with people, but after the scam vid, what they did to their people, these youngsters, they have a duty of care over that have dreamed their whole life, for example, of being a Royal Marines commando. And they get them in there and they say, oh, by the way, we got to subject you to a medical experiment, right? One headed up by the evil, trillionaire psychopaths. And not one person in that command structure went, no, you ain't fricking doing that to my blokes or my girls. That ain't happening. Let's wait till this shit's proven, which, if you know the score around that thing, physically never, ever can be proven. No, it was disappointing. It made you see that the true nature of what the military's become, which is a den of cowards, basically. A den of yes men that are all saying yes because they're afraid they're not going to get their OBE, and then a command structure that's worried about the next the next promotion or the next posting, so they kind of go along with it too. And then there's all the absolutely naive people that didn't know any difference. Friends, can we please get some likes and subscribes? And please check that you're liked and subscribed. As I say, we're here to emancipate you, to set you free. On that note, here's someone who's not free. When I refer to them as the J Mafia, it's not hard to see. So this is Donald doing what he has to do to appease the cabal, which is to go along with the whole, let's just call it the Israel thing. Remember, Israel set up by the Rothschilds off the Balfour Declaration. It's their incursion into the Middle East, but it also doubles as their gaslighting front company as well. This chap next to him, I believe this is Howard Lutnick. he's in Trump's cabinet. This was the chap. If it is indeed this chap, he might just look remarkably similar. But Howard Lutnick was the guy that conveniently, on that infamous day in New York and Washington, that time when the things, you know what I'm saying, that he conveniently wasn't in the office in the Twin Towers. But guess what? He knew his brother was. Yes, you heard that correct. Imagine being that evil that you knew your family was in there, but you made sure not to turn up for work that day. And then remarkably, you find yourself the right-hand man of the president of the most powerful nation, quote unquote, on earth. Yes. This all just looks wrong, doesn't it? Aren't they supposed to smile or something? Shouldn't this be a joyous occasion? They're literally like the people you would not trust to leave your children with. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't even mean in that sense. I just mean to just scare the fucking shit out of them. The funny thing here is Donald thinks they want him to sign the book. So he says, do you want me to sign this one? And they're like, no, it's for you.
Would you like me to sign this? I love it. Thank you.
Yes, anyway. Yes, not a word said about a genocide or a stolen land or the fact that scripture is an allegory. The land of milk and honey is not a place, unfortunately, folks, for those of you that still believe that myth. There were no Israelites that crossed the Red Sea into said land of milk and honey. It's simply an allegory. If you want to find out more about it, I'd recommend you get this dictionary, which I've got a copy of just there. It's by G.A. Gaskill. And in that dictionary, it helps you decode scripture. There's a link for this below in the description box, this dictionary, folks. And I might make a few pence off you from Amazon if you decide to purchase one. Alternatively, if you're not flush at the moment, if you sign up for my newsletter there at THRALL.com, I'll send you, I found a free version online. I can send you a copy of that. But what you'll learn is that Egypt is simply secret code. It just means your lower self, your bondage to this material realm. And that if we want to find our way into paradise, we have to leave that bondage. We have to access our upper self, go into what's called the upper room, which is simply your higher mind, your place of spiritual consciousness. You know, like that feeling you get when you've just been down the gym, or you've had a lovely sauna, or you're out in the nature, or you've just fallen in love, or maybe you've been in love a long time and you're good at doing that love thing. It's called entering your upper room, and when we're there, we then have to go east of Eden, which is not a story about Adam and Eve, folks. It just means accessing the right hemisphere of the brain, which is where you find your peace, kindness, contentedness, rather than your left brain. Left brain is why your family find it so hard to believe that when you try and talk to them about the medical nonsense, they're like, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist." It's like it's the rational. It's kind of that when you go to school, that's what they program the left brain with all this. Put your hand up, put your hand down, put the chair in, take the chair out. Right? A bell goes, it's dinner time. Bell stops, it's study time. Right, put your hand up. Right, remember, 10 times 10 is 10. 10. As you can see, I didn't go to school a lot. Certainly not secondary school. 10 tens are not 10, folks. 10 tens are 1,000. Yeah. But yeah, that's all the programming of the left brain. How do we know this? Well, tell me how many times at your school did they teach you that when one of the kids is crying, you go up and put your arm around them and you make sure they're all right and you just sit with them. And that's all you have to do, you know? How many times do they tell you, look, you don't really need these careers we're preaching about, like doctors, lawyer. All that's really going to do is lock you into an office job and you're going to forsake traveling the whole planet and skydiving and, you know, or studying to do something that you really, really want to do. They don't say that, do they? So, yes, that's left brain. So when it comes to all this horse shit, folks, they lying to you. Israelite, Is, Ra, and El. So Is, Isis, feminine energy. Ra, sun god, is masculine energy. So that's your electromagnetism between your pineal and your pituitary. When you get that working, then you develop the El, which is the Elohim, which is the Holy Spirit, or your connection to the divine. And you leave your bondage, your Egypt, you cross the Red Sea, because crossing water is simply code for a higher state of consciousness. And it's red because you get over your emotional body and the control that your emotions have on you, which quite often is not particularly helpful. And you enter the land of milk and honey, serotonin and DMT. That is all that story means. People telling you that it's an actual place and that the people there are special is like, we're not that stupid, fortunately, anymore. I think our parents' generation were pretty gullible. They went along with all that codswallop. It's changing, folks, isn't it? People are starting to notice that we're all being gaslit. Sorry about this. This is my... what's it called when you like have to have things squared away? It's not ADHD, is it? What's that one called? I thought there was a spot of dust on it there. So yeah, anyway, so moving swiftly on, I'm going to go to locals in a minute, folks, because there's a lot of stuff like this video. This is this guy's typing into TikTok, which is now owned by Larry Ellison, who's the guy that bankrolls Tony Blair and Tony's digital ID quest. Larry Ellison is arguably the richest person on the planet, or thereabouts. And guess what? He just bought TikTok, hasn't he? And here's a chap. He's typing certain questions into TikTok, and it's blocking some of them with respect to certain religions, and it's not blocking others. And on that note, folks, yes, there's a lot of noticing going on at the moment. There's a lot of people now starting to get their heads around the Second World War narrative and realise that old Spielberg chap over there in the Hollywood being the wood that they used to make the magic wand, there's a clue, magic or magic, black magic in this case, is the Hollywood narrative. It's not a true version of events, folks. As such, we've all been lied to, haven't we? And I know a lot of you are working this out now. And I congratulate you for it, for escaping that left brain programming where you just puppet and parrot and repeat what you're told to, what you're allowed to talk about and what you're not allowed to talk about. And it's all coming down. But one thing I'd say here is you got to be careful, folks. You know, I know it almost seems like a dream come true that we're no longer going to be gaslit by a select few, can we say? But in itself, that can lead on to, you know, when you look what happened in Germany in the build up to the Second World War. You got a guy over there, haven't you? And he's starting to notice that his nation, which wasn't even called Germany by then, it was part of the Weimar Republic, if I've got that right. So it had lost its sovereignty. It was getting leached, parasitically leached from the inside out by the merchants who were just ripping. You know, to buy like a sandwich, you needed a wheelbarrow, because that's how rife inflation was. So you needed a wheelbarrow to carry the money. People were so desperate for money that it became the place where perverts went. Because if you wanted to, you know, sleep with I hate to say it, but you know, a small one, while her parents watched, that was the place you went. If you wanted to have it off with someone with no legs, that was the place you went. And he'd watched this, and he'd watched the way in the First World War that the trade unions, remember, trade unions controlled by the merchant cabal, same as the Masons, folks. Sorry if you're a Freemason, don't mean to be offensive, just telling you what's in Mein Kampf if you take time to read it. He saw that they were controlling the industries through the trade union, and people that wouldn't traditionally be in a trade union, so people like tailors, milliners, you know, hairdressers, this kind of thing, they would join the Masons. So he noticed that both these organizations had been infiltrated, and that they worked behind the scenes to pull the rug from under Germany's feet during the First World War, when they clearly would have won with superior weaponry, a superior attitude towards serving the motherland, and superior equipment. So, yes, in interesting times, but look what happened there is the rise of the right, which is kind of what we're seeing now. We're seeing the rise of the right, though, now off the back of Islam, aren't we? Or the perceived threat of Islam. So I guess I'm just trying to say, just be wary, folks. Remember, love is the highest form of energy. And, you know, if we're just going to go from one thing into hating another thing, it's not going to end well. I don't think that should stop you noticing stuff, but this is interesting. This chap here, I just come across this in some of my ramblings. Some of you might be familiar with this guy. I'm not here to chat about Harry or slur Harry the Soul Coach, but listen.
Patel is evil, and Pam Bondi's evil, and now Dan Bongino, he's stepping down, he's evil. Okay, if they're all evil, who are the good guys? And people are unable to even answer that. How does it make any sense to have an awakening if no one knows who the good people are? I can name more than 50 easily of the good guys. Hollywood, on that list, they're all good. No, they're all taken out, they're all evil, they've all been replaced, all of them. Okay, who's replaced them? People wear masks. What, CIA? No, they're evil as well. No, they're good. Hollywood and CIA are central casting.
Okay, the reason I'm showing this, folks, is this is just typical of fourth dimension division. It's like this. There's good and evil in the world, and you decide every sort of moment in your day which way you're going to act. And again, as long as we insist on externalizing our divinity onto other people, whether they be Hollywood or politicians, we're going to lose every time, because people are human, and the way at the moment we're in a negative cycle. This is why everything's an inversion. Everything just doesn't make sense. It's crap. you know, the typical way of living now is to eat a toxic carbohydrate diet, wash it down with a bottle of wine from the booze aisle, laugh and shun anything spiritual because you've been brainwashed to believe that's to do with religion, when it's obviously not. To hate on people, to spend all your time accessing false dopamine rather than being out, achieving your dreams in the nature, whatever that might be. Like, everything's an inversion. And that's the state of play. How do you change that? Well, it starts with you, and it starts within. That's all your scripture stuff, isn't it? The only way to the Father, so the kingdom of heaven, which is in here, it's in your temple. The only way to access that is starts with yourself. So what all this stuff, and again, I'll say this again, I've got nothing against Harry here. I don't really know who he is. All of this just divisive shit. Don't buy into it. Dan Badingo or they're just slaves in the matrix, aren't they? They've got all their pressure on them. They're told if they don't destroy their own communities, they won't get the next pay rise or whatever it might be. And there we go. So what I'm going to do, friends, is I've got a load more tabs open here, but I'm going to go over to locals in a moment. Don't leave yet, because I'm just going to run over the good stuff. So in no particular order, friends, can we like and subscribe? We got lots of people watching. I'm guessing people are coming in and out of the stream all the time, so I won't apologize for keep saying it. If we can like and subscribe, friends, that would be absolutely awesome. Don't forget, you should be sharing these videos as well. What I've noticed with people that are awakening and enlightening is they're very hesitant, because we've all been damaged, haven't we? And they don't want to, but this is where we just got to be a bit strong and realise what other people say and do is nothing to do with us. Just literally ignore it, because you're golden and you have that, that amazing connection that never stops. And the only way you sever it is when you focus on the minutiae, like what other people think. So just coming on to a couple of things, let me just say thank you to Chuck. Welcome to Scout. Thank you for becoming a channel member, Chuck. I really appreciate that, my friend. Thank you. Right. So in no particular order, this is like the black cube of Saturn, isn't it? The cult. David Icke always talks about the cult. This is basically who he's referring to. It's this ancient mystic worshipping of the planet Saturn, who historically is Kronos, the father of time. What does that mean? How does it? It means time. If you're judging things through time, time doesn't exist. It's just a human construct. You don't have a limited time on this planet. This apparatus here does, but you are the divine energy. And the reason they love this is they love to get people to think, oh my God, I've only got 10 years left of my life. I haven't achieved, and to quantify it rather than realizing, no, you're eternal. Your life is eternal. You're only going to realize that, though, once you understand everything's an energy field. In Egypt, they called this net or netta, being this, you can actually see here, this slide's been designed as a net. I didn't do this. I jigged around with it a bit, but this is how it was. They called it netta. Netta is the ether, folks, the fabric of life. It's like the wall on which life is, the canvas on which life is sprayed. And as you can see, out of this, we are, you are me and I'm you. There's just one energy in this system. So essentially, if we go back to source, we're getting to the same point, which is the all, the everything. This is why I always try and start my streams by letting you know you're massively loved. And I know so many of you say the same to me, because we're on this level of understanding. But what's happened is the cabal are employing their beast system. So they're 666. Why 666? Well, 666 is the atomic number of carbon, isn't it? Carbon being earth. Do you remember what I said earlier? Earth, water, air, fire are the levels of your consciousness. Above fire becomes ether. That's spirit. And what they want you to do, and why they symbolize it with 666, is in numerology. 6 add 6 is 12, add the 6 is 18, add the 1 and the 8 and it becomes 9. And they use the number 144,000 who shall go to heaven, who shall enlighten, basically. 1 add the 4 is 5, 5 add the 4 is 9. So it's as above, so below. Because life has a, I don't know if the right word is the dualistic nature of life. Now, why is the 9, the 666, used to symbolize the below? Well, that's because they've got everybody locked into their beast system. If you ask the average person what's important to them, they'll tell you it's their car or their family or their 3 holidays a year or whatever it is. What they won't say is, oh, well, primarily it's my connection to the divine. It's my connection to source. It's understanding who I am, that I am the all. I'm a manifestation of the all, the everything. You are me and I'm you. We're just God or the divine having a subjectively experiencing life through this mechanism. And this lot, they keep you divided. They don't want you to know any of the stuff that I'm saying. They keep you thinking that country over there is coming to bomb you. And they get their politicians coming out and their pop stars or rock stars or the leader of the UN or their cocaine smuggling presidents, and their they get them to consistently back the message of division, which divides you from yourself and supports all the wars that are going on. If you notice, people never learn, do they? You think they'd learn off Iraq and Afghanistan, how you were set up, how all your money has been stolen, all your tax money stolen to fund the cabal. This is not even hard to work out. But of course, what happens is the programming comes in through these puppets, and as soon as the next war comes up, boom. The great unwashed, they're all onto it again, aren't they? Reading their Sun newspaper, their comic, which tells them there's weapons of mass destruction or there's a brutal dictator out there, and they fall for it all again. Why? Because they've been kept away from this understanding their whole lives by the matrix system that's been set up. So moving on, where are we in all of this? So down there, that's the matrix. I'll talk this quickly because I know I talk about this a lot, but third dimension, that's your people that frustrate you when you try and wake them up, which is why I say don't bother. When someone's ready to awake, you'll know it, because they'll ask you questions, because they're coming from a place of openness rather than a place of ego, as you can see there. Now, people wake up out of the matrix, don't they? Because they see that medical narratives don't make sense, that buildings don't fall out of the sky, not for the reasons given anyway, and that if we're supposed to be this wonderful global community, why is everyone so unhappy? Why is the drug situation worse than ever? Why is mental health at an all-time high? Why is it people can't even buy a house, have a property these days, etc., etc.? So they wake up, they enter something called fourth dimension consciousness. This is all a change in the frequency of your brain. But the problem here is what do fourth dimension people do to try to change the existence, what's going on? Well, they're in the matrix, so they just employ all the same stuff that the asleep people do. They share videos, they they say, oh, well, if we can get rid of this president, well, we can get this president. Oh, wow, what a humdinger. This guy's going to sort it all out. What are they doing? Worshipping a false idol, externalizing that power that you have within and putting it on other people and thinking for some reason that they're just not human, and they're not failed, they're not failed too. So the important thing is that we recognize this and we take actions to develop a new consciousness, a new humanity. And where does it start? You guessed it. It starts within you, which is why I said, at the beginning, recognize where you are in the matrix, folks. I think if you're watching my channel, unless you're a very nice person, you're open-minded and you want the best for yourself and others, you're probably quite asleep. So I doubt many asleep people will be watching this channel. But a sleep person, and I'm just using the terminology, folks. I obviously wouldn't call people this to their face. Certainly wouldn't call people sheep. But they have a blind belief in the matrix, don't they? Because the BBC told them it's this way. They don't know stuff. They obey categorically, and they think their route to happiness is by buying more shit. Then you get your awake people that realize, possibly chucking toxic stuff into people is not really a good idea. The issue with being awake, though, is you still cling to the matrix, don't you? Hey, Chris, when are the military going to come and rescue us? They're not. Only you can rescue yourself. Oh yeah, but Chris, you don't understand Donald Trump. Well, I kind of do. He's a human being that's not enlightened, so he's living in his material self, his ego. It's not just, he's just reintroduced God to America. Really? The thing that we need to be getting away from is this organized control mechanism called religion that was left behind after the empires to control the people that they smashed, the communities that they, raped and pillaged from and stole all the gold. What do? They left them religion, didn't we? So if the Donald comes out saying he's going to rubber stamp that even more, this isn't in your best interest. And people in this mode, they kind of think they know everything, don't they? Apologies if this refers to people watching, but a bit hard to get around this one. They complain a lot. I can't wake up my brother-in-law. He thinks I'm a tinfoil hat. And they prep because they live in constant fear. Enlightened person, when I say prep, folks, I'm not talking about having a few, some candles under the stairs and a few bags of rice or whatever, some sort of sensible precautions. I'm talking about when you become that guy, what was it who remembers, Highlander, the ex-Marine, the vigilante. When you become that mentality, you might have a few problems. But there's your enlightened lot. I know they all look a bit like zombies in this picture. I just doctored this. I found it online. But enlightened, what is it? You got to leave this matrix. It starts with us, folks. We can do this. We've got this. Start spreading some beautiful energy. Start saying good morning to people. Start saying please, thank you. And when you're wrong, say sorry. It's great. You're seizing, you're controlling your own energy then, rather than letting life dominate you. What do enlightened people do? They know, because enlightenment is something called gnosis. You heard of the Gnostic Gospels, the Enlightenment doctrine. Gnosis means knowing. That's it. A lot of people say it means knowledge. No, it doesn't mean knowledge. Knowledge is just accumulating loads of stuff from books, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I love reading. Gnosis is something else. People who are left brain can have knowledge, you know. Disco Dave, for example, he can tell you every single horse that's won the Derby for the last 25 years. Well, mainly because he's put a bet on all of them. But does Disco Dave understand the nature of life? No. Does he? Hell? Can Disco Dave just look at someone and within seconds of being in their presence know whether they're, you know, third dimension, fourth dimension, or enlightened consciousness? No. So gnosis, it just means knowing. You know stuff. But how do you know it? Well, you just do. When you get there, you'll know it. And if you're watching my show, then you will get there. Takes action and meditates. That's the most important thing. Is create your life and your connection like this. In this moment, you're just shutting the noise off, folks. Shutting all that constant chatter. Screw everybody and everything. I don't mean that rudely. I mean, you know, you're living your dream. You got to create for you. You, in this moment, look. My life is perfect. Absolutely perfect. And the more you learn to just shut off the noise, go into yourself, and you work out ways to make your life perfect. That's it. If you're, your car's broken and you're a bit worried about that, and it's source of, don't. It's just a rusting lump of metal. You shouldn't even be thinking about it. Once you start to take action, the universe will provide. It will fix that car. If you're worried about human relationship, you've fallen out, don't. That's not your concern. Your concern is your connection with the divine. People are always going to let you down. They can also be bloody lovely as well. But that's just the nature of life. Your self-worth doesn't lie in what other people think. Your self-worth comes around by realizing you were born perfect and equal to everybody else because we're all a divine manifestation. That is it. And then you start to get into things like breath work, hot and cold plunge, moderate exercise, alkaline diet being the most important thing, folks. Oh, yeah, if you can like and subscribe, that would be awesome too. I talk about this a lot because this changes life. Thank you for all the messages and emails, folks, about this. Yes, it will change. Super Greens will change your life. Once you start to understand the miracle that takes place. Great book there, friends. There's a link for all of this in my Amazon shop below in the description box. Get on it. Give it a go. If you don't, you won't know. Read Robert's book. Robert's a lovely chap. He was the guy that put all the procedure under an electron microscope and came up with all kinds of stuff that was in there, from parasites to graph, that substance that begins with graph, all that stuff. That was Dr. Robert Young. He's an absolute leader in microbiology, and he realized before most that some foods make you acidic because of their high on the glycemic index, like, for example, your carbohydrates that we all eat without even thinking about it. And that to offset that acid that sugar creates, you need this. You need some super greens. This is super green concentrated powder. You are a human being, so you are a color person, color being a spectrum of the light. And how does that light manifest within you? Well, it comes from the sun, and through something called photosynthesis, it creates chlorophyll in plants. This is your, as a human being, primary source, your primary source of intake. And ignore people that tell you otherwise. They would never, in all the years I've been doing this, anyone that just blatantly disagrees because they don't know will never provide me. I've asked everybody, okay, fine, you want to go on this random bizarre diet, provide me your alkaline test, your pH strips, either your alkaline or your acidic. And it's not hard eventually to work out the foods that are going to make you acidic, carbohydrate being one of them. These, incidentally, folks, you just peel one off, you can put it in your mouth, you can pee on it, it's going to give you a slightly different result, because down there it's for getting rid of acid. That's a natural byproduct of the human body. But in the mouth, when you test yourself, you want it like that. You can never see in this, like it. I can assure you, it's green. It's right there. Can you see number 7? That's exactly what you want. You want between 7.25 and 7.45 as an average over the year. And what you'll do is you'll develop peak health. You'll develop peak health, folks. So for me, I don't do ill health, like never. So when people like blame it on other, I caught this off Steve I'm just like, no, you didn't. You have no clue that diet you eat is shite, And we're all the same, folks. It's hard to get away from carbs, isn't it? But what this stuff does, it offsets that. It offsets the acid produced by the carbs, because each spoon of super greens contains the equivalent of 7 portions of broccoli. Boom. And when you're alkaline in your body, you can flush out that acid. And if you don't flush out the acid, it accumulates. Your cells start to be unable to talk to your DNA, and then your body has to force you into a massive detox. You get? Anyway, there's a link below, folks, for the super greens, for the book, for the strips. Like I say, I might make a few pence off you. I know you don't begrudge me that. And just thank you for all the masses of messages saying, Chris, it really makes a difference. Yes, it does. And don't be afraid to go heavy on it, folks. I think it says on the thing, use a spoon and put it in fruit juice. Why would you put something in fruit juice? That's fructose. It's sugar. All the forms of fruit we got out there are highly concentrated sugar now because of the crossbreeding that they've done. Not like the apple that if you'd have got 500 years ago from the nature in the forest in the UK, or the blackberries or whatever. All of this stuff, it's hybrid grown now for maximum fructose content, because they obviously want to sell fruit. So it's fruit in moderation, fine. Everything in moderation, fine. But you got to get that greenery in you. So yeah, like I say, folks, there's a link below. Right, I've said enough here. Hope we made a bit of sense. Let's go over the locals and let's just finish off looking at some of this stuff. Some of this stuff that we can't really talk about over here. One final note, folks, in case you join the screen, I started off by thanking everybody who's chipped in a $5 for my upcoming Mount Everest summit. As you know, my buddy Craig, just yet another Marine brother of mine that committed suicide last year. It doesn't need to be that way, folks. It doesn't need to be that. There's other ways. If you can support me in my message to shine a light from struggling veterans on my Mount Everest summit in May, start in April, the expedition. There's a link below, folks, okay? And just remember, for all the negative Nancy's out there, I speak to millions of people on this platform. When I say PTSD, complex PTSD begins in, for the most part, or most often, in childhood. And that comes back to haunt you when you leave the forces. This is why we're losing so many people. This is why the professionals need to start acknowledging this. This is why the charities need to stop making out that our veterans are damaged just because they went to war. It's frightening off all those people out there that maybe didn't go to war, or like me, you were in a conflict, but it didn't affect you at all. Right? It's putting those people off from coming forward and asking for help. So please help me in my mission, folks. If you can spare a $5, that would be absolutely awesome. I'm still yet at some point I will choose a charity. So as we make more money down the line, we can start, supporting people that need it the most. But that's always a difficult one, isn't it? Because the charity world isn't as transparent, I don't think, as we would like. So there we go, folks. Massive thank you. Please like and subscribe. The chat's been whizzing away. I won't go to it today. I'll pick up the chat over on Locals. Much love.